exponential and logarithmic equations.
So we're not expanding.
Sounds really hard.
She didn't say anything. I mean, that means it's really hard.
Logan the Mick. Logan. Wolfgang.
All right, property, maybe, of equality for exponential equations. If b is a positive number, other than 1, then b to the x equals b to the y if and only if x equals y. Oh my goodness. So basically the reason that this would be useful is if we have something like 4 to the x is equal to 4 to the 7, then we would know that x equals 7. Which will be helpful in solving. 6.2 magnitude earthquake.
Where?
Istanbul.
That's
Not
what
here.
$5.
Really? Oh.
Did have an earthquake here my
If it's
freshman
not
year.
like one of the real countries, it's where the Taj Mahal is.
Turkey's one of the biggest countries. Like
Turkey?
It's not a country though. It's like a,
Wow.
it's like one of the minor cities of countries. Like,
it's
and no
like
one
almost
actually,
the biggest city in the world.
like Georgia.
Like it's literally the second
I
biggest
think
city.
Manhattan's pretty big.
I really thought you were gonna say it's not a country, it's a lunch meat.
Istanbul?
No, Turkey.
Ew, no, it's not a lunch meat.
Yes, it
Istanbul
is.
has
Ham
some
is a
of the
lunch meat,
size
not
cities.
turkey.
Turkey
They
is
put
also
turkey on your
lunch
sandwiches.
They
If it's
sell
in a
it in the
Lunchable, it's a
store
lunch
right
meat.
next to the ham.
Yeah, that's a good argument.
And there are turkey
Why are we
lunchables.
talking about meat?
Zach, why are you?
I'm not sure the meat in Lunchables is actually meat, though.
I had a lunchable last
It's not
night.
tasty.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had chicken pot pie because someone from church made it. It was really good. I never had chicken pot pie before.
Property of equality for logarithmic equations.
Oh, that's an R?
If b, what?
I thought it was.
It was sugar, bro. It was a big answer.
Which part?
You better not get more sugar,
Logarithmic.
guys.
Oh. I
If
thought it said
b,
logarithmic.
x, and y are positive numbers, with b not equal to 1, then log base b of x equals log base b of y if and only if x equals y. So similar to what I had up there, if I have log base 2 of x is equal to log base 2 of 7, then x equals 7.
I think this was all like common sense stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when you were writing
If
it down, it
X
sounded
equals
really
Y,
hard, and then now
then
that I'm
seven
reading
equals
it.
seven.
Yeah.
If the bases are the same. Oh, wait, never.
Hey, did you hear that?
Ready?
You heard
No.
that one?
Okay, solving exponential equations for 7 raised to the 3x plus 4 equals 49 to the 2x plus 1.
They're not the same.
They aren't, but can I make them the same?
Yeah, 7 squared.
Okay, so if I do this, this would be 7 squared raised to that, so this would be we multiply exponents when that happens. So this is 7 to the 3x plus 4 equals 7 to the 2 times 2x plus 1. And so then I can take these two things and set them equal to each other. So 3x plus 4 equals 4x plus 2. So negative, I'm going to do it this way. 2 equals x.
And how do we just get rid of the? Because we're solving an equation.
Yeah. So if once we get the same base, we just take their exponents and set them equal to each other. And we'll do the same thing when we get to logs. If their log base is the same, then we take what's inside the logs and set it equal to each other.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
6.
I wish we still wrote notes like online so I could get the grade for that.
Maybe we will for another section.
Just
But that's also where your participation grade goes.
Am I participating well?
Most of the time.
You gotta
Dang it! I see all the time.
If you don't get 100 for participation, it means you're just like a bump on a log.
Oh.
Or you
Get
sleep
it,
through my
log?
class.
We were calling my uncle the other day for like his math,
Why are you calling
and
your
my
uncle
grand he told me he has a problem with logs and stuff, and he told me a while ago that when we learned about logs, I need to call him. I was like, you need to tell me about your logarithm rant, and my grandfather was like, oh, logs are the thing I know most about algebra. I know about like birch logs, and I was
Hey,
Like Minecraft?
like,
Like,
he cuts trees down.
Anyways,
Oh,
if you sleep through my class, skip my class.
we might get a 90.
I've done that already though. Wait,
It's impossible to skip classes at this school. Everybody is just like.
It's because there's 4 people in our school.
Exactly.
Yeah, if somebody's not in class and they're not listed as like absent, I'm calling the office to figure out where you are. Because we always laugh with Virginia because last year there was a day she was literally like in her second period class, and the 2 other people that were coming to class with her came to class, and we're like, where's Virginia? We couldn't find her. I was like, oh, we'll go check and see if she's in the bathroom or something. So they went and check on her. She's not in there. We were like, okay, we'll go to the last class that you were in. They went and checked the last class. We checked the hallway, checked downstairs, couldn't find her. We texted her. We're like, are you alive? Like, where are you? And no response. And we're like, this is weird. Like, she's just gone. So I finally called the office, and they're like, we don't know where she is. We haven't seen her. And I was like, she just like disappeared into thin air. Like, nobody can find her. So we're like all out searching for her. And finally the office calls back as I'm like walking back in my room from looking, and they're like, she just walked in. She felt really, really bad, but she was like going home because she didn't feel well. And she just didn't think to like run by and say anything. She just was like going to the office. We were like, oh good. I was like, I was just making sure you didn't die because nobody else knew. Like, she didn't tell anybody, which is just not like her at all. So that's why we were like, is she okay?
Yeah. There was a day in 8th grade when I was definitely here. I walked into homeroom. We had Mrs. Dean that year for homeroom. And I had talked to her that morning. But when homeroom came, I had gone to the bathroom, and my backpack was sitting in my chair. And I came back, and I thought everything was good. And then I get called to the office at like 11 o'clock because Mom had freaked out because she got a notification that I had been marked unexcused absent from school. She's like, I didn't drive them to school this morning. William did. Where's my kid? Like, I promise I was here.
Yeah, I marked somebody absent one day that was literally sitting, because they always sit in that first seat right there, and then they weren't sitting in that seat that day. They were sitting on the floor, and I didn't know it. So finally, like several class periods later, they're like, was she here? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I didn't think so, but I guess she was. Anyways. All right, what about this one?
Alright, so you make the bases all 30.
Okay, yep, so that's good because I thought somebody was going to say to make them 9 or something, which would be much more difficult. So yes, we want to make them 3. So 27 is 3 cubed, so I'll rewrite this as 3 to the 3 times 4x minus 1. And this as 3 to the 2 times 3x plus 8. Now I can set the top parts equal to each other. I'm going to go ahead and distribute as I move it down so I don't have to rewrite it. So 12x minus 3 equals 6x plus 16. So 6x equals 19. That's not
Ew.
satisfying.
Yeah.
So x equals 19 over 6.
No. Yes.
Improper fractions.
Aw.
It made me sad.
Thought by this part I would have made y'all like aware that like we just use improper fractions. I've almost got Algebra 1 trained for improper fractions. There's a few of them that just still love their mixed numbers.
I hate mixed numbers. They make me mad.
Because they told us in elementary
To make it
school
easier.
that we couldn't have improper fractions.
And now we have
Like they told you that side angle didn't exist in geometry.
Right. They just lie to us and then they want to add more information.
Even that subtraction was a real thing. We're really just adding the negative.
Wait, what?
I didn't even hear that till college, so y'all got it early.
Yeah, but I still don't
And
think
addition
about it
isn't
like
even
that.
I don't either. I just like pointing it out because I think it's like funny to like point out, be like, you're not subtracting, you're adding a negative number, and you're not dividing, you're multiplying by an inverse.
Please don't.
But if I have
Keep,
three
change, flip.
apples and I take one away, I'm not adding a negative apple.
Right.
I'm taking away an apple.
over, so it turns into a decimal.
Ah!
Yeah. It's just called decimals.
Just give me my shoe.
Okay, number 8.
Can I have my shoe, please?
3 to the 3x minus 7 equals 81 to the 12 minus
Can I please have my
3x.
shoe, please?
9.
Oh, we gotta do the math. I need my shoe.
Never mind, I guess.
Second day in a row.
Oh, it's to the 9th.
First practice.
To the 6th.
What?
5th. 3. 4th. 1.
Fourth.
3 to
Dang it, because 3 times 9 is 80. No, never mind. Don't talk. No, never mind.
But this is 3 to a power.
3, 4, 12,
So 3 to the 4 times 12 minus 3x. So then 3x minus 7 equals 48 minus 12x. So 15x equals 55, right? Yep. So x equals 11 over 3.
How did you know that?
Ew.
55 over 15, I took out a 5. I reduced
That's
it.
impressive.
I have my shoe.
Did you do that in your head or did you just already know that?
I did it in my head. I was like, oh, they both have a 5, so they have to be divisible by 5.
I was just impressed with how you did that. I did 55. Oh, wait, that makes sense.
What?
Just needed to see it.
Yeah,
Don't look at happening.
How about one like this? 10 to the 3x minus 10 equals 1 over 100 to
Oh,
the
I
6x minus 1.
So raise the 10 to the 1 over 10.
Huh?
Negative
Sorry, what?
2.
Yeah, I'm going to rewrite 1 over 100 as 10 to the negative 2, because 1 over 100 would be the same as 100 to the negative 1. I need it in terms of 10. 10 squared is 100, so this would become 10 to the negative 2.
Okay, sure.
That sounded sarcastic.
Ryan's like, yeah, I don't know about this.
She just called you stupid.
I did not.
Okay, I know it.
He doesn't like the math that I did. That's what I think.
He doesn't understand it.
I just wrote it.
So then 3x minus 10 equals negative 12x plus 2. 15x equals 12. So x equals 4/5. Did you do that one in your head, Shepard?
They both have 3s.
There you
And
go.
4s. But only the 12 has a 4.
I have 4s.
They both have 3s. One of them has a 4 and one of them has a 5. 3, 4, 5. One of them has a 6.
Is there a 5? I'm sure there's
Yeah.
5.
Five
There's
to
a lot.
7?
I can find a 2
5s are nice.
and a 1.
What's
I
the
don't have
biggest
many
number?
5s. I think it went up to 23.
23.
8 to the x equals 20.
That's a lot.
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
So I need to find x. But this is one where I can't just rewrite the two things in terms of something else and do it. So if I have an exponential, I use a log to solve it.
Yeah, sure.
So we make the L.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Log base 8, and then these will end up being Ryan's favorite because you get to use a calculator.
Yes.
Log base 8 of 20 equals x.
You do it, Genie.
Well, okay, I won't do it then. I won't do it.
These are Ryan's favorite. He has to do them himself.
1.441.
So you got 3 spaces.
Yes, I had to round it and it made me hesitate.
Hesitate.
$16. 7 to the 6x equals 12.
So is there any way to do like the number 12 without using a calculator?
Yeah.
Like
Think about it really hard.
could we find like a fraction number that's the answer somehow?
I mean, you'd be sitting there trying to guess what number you have to raise 8 to in order to get 20.
Okay.
So probably not.
Hold on.
You might be able to get like an approximate.
8 to the 1.441 equals 20.
That's what we just
Yeah, that's what we just solved for.
I didn't know that.
What?
I never know like the reason,
Well,
but that's
I
like
didn't put together that we make an L because it's for logarithms until I got to like the homework from 2 days later.
I didn't even
I
know
just
were
thought that was
labels.
the shape we made.
No, and that's why when we have a log and we want to solve it, we make an ease because we need an
Yeah, I got there
exponential.
on too.
I didn't understand it all, and I was like, why are we writing letters in our equations?
Because we don't have
The other
numbers in
letters.
math anymore.
So,
So log base 7 of 12 is equal to 6x. So when I do this, I'm going to have to do the log base 7 of 12, but then I'm going to have to take that number and divide it by 6 to get my answer for what x is equal to.
0.213.
That was funny, right?
Is that divided by 6?
Yeah, that's what it is. Trevor's still trying to figure it out. What are you doing?
I don't know. Invalid input. What is this font?
18. 10 to the 3x plus 4 equals 9. So anytime we have this, before I can make the L, I've got to get it such that the number raised to the variable, or obviously the variable times something, has to be by itself first. So I've got to subtract 4 first. So 10 to the 3x equals 5.
Wait, I think I can do this one in my head.
Okay. Log base
1.5.
10 of 5 is equal to 3x. We'll divide by 3. So log base 10 of 5 and then divided by 3 is what I'm looking for.
Ryan's.
0.233. Good job, Mason.
0.223.
2-2?
That's what ballerinas wear.
I have a 2-2.
All right, solve the equation, check for extraneous solutions.
I don't like checking.
No extra.
I don't like extraneous.
Yeah, well, Algebra 1 loves me because every time they factor, they have to FOIL it or they'll get no points.
Why?
I'm forcing them to check it
But Zach doesn't
So
show
they
his
don't
work.
check.
That's
because they've never factored before.
I
factored
But it
before.
makes sense.
Well, there's no excuse to get the problem wrong because you can check it.
Yeah.
With your calculator.
They don't get a calculator.
They weren't factoring in pre-algebra?
If they did not appear that they had ever seen it before.
I did.
I'm so glad I skipped algebra 1 because it doesn't look like fun.
Huh?
I liked algebra 1. It made sense.
I feel like
It's
we
not
should
fun
put
anyway.
Daniel back in algebra 1. Because he never took
No, I did take algebra 1 like online, but not with a class.
That's how it prefers it.
I mean, I skipped last year's history, so.
That wasn't necessary.
Oh, so 6x equals 5x
What
plus
did you
9.
say?
But no,
Yep.
We didn't
one
have
less
to take history
credit
last
for
year.
my.
So 5x plus 9 equals
knew this.
6x.
No, we
I
didn't.
didn't take.
Otherwise, I wouldn't do just directed study PE. Because I still haven't finished that.
Well, I did that too.
But you played basketball. You should have like a lot
I know, but
of
I haven't done the
hours.
books, and I never recorded the hours.
I made them mad because I didn't take history last year because we didn't actually need it. They just signed everyone up for it. But I figured this out over the summer, and I was here for some reason, and I just walked up to Mr. Law, who was off to going to do something else, and I was like, I don't need this class. I don't want to take it. He was like, okay.
If I said that,
You would get it.
Well, see, I think part of it was that he was busy and off going to something else,
Whoa,
so
wait, I thought
he
we're not
just
allowed
said
to do
yes
that.
so he could stop talking to me.
Not allowed to do what?
Take away the logs because it isn't by itself.
They're the same.
But it'd be like when we're
But it's
like
the base.
log
It's not
5.
fraction.
I didn't divide them. They're the same, so I set what's inside equal to each other.
Are they always going to
So
be the
that's-
same or no?
Okay.
we just wrote notes
We
about
have to
Okay,
make
shut up, Zach.
Yeah, we
And then to check it, we plug it back in. 5 times 9 plus 9 should be, well, obviously equal to 6 times 9.
my backpack works too. My face was right there.
Now, the big thing I'm really looking for, obviously I've just checked it, but the other thing I'm looking for is that I don't end up with a negative number. You can't have a negative in a log. So that's honestly what I'm really looking for here.
Oh.
So even if we get an answer, it doesn't mean that's the right answer.
Correct. That's why it says check for extraneous solutions. Let's see, 28. Log of 12x minus 11 equals log of 3x plus 13. So the big thing, like, I didn't really honestly need to check it in 24 because everything was positive, and so I'm not really worried about it. But, like, this one, I do want to check it because I've got this minus 11, so it could potentially give me something that ends up being negative depending on what x is. That's really where I want to be careful about it. So, same base, so 12x minus 11 equals 3x plus 13. So I've got 9x equals 24. So x equals 24 over 9, right? No. Nope. Wait.
8 over 3.
Yes. Thank you. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't go into it evenly, and I was like, wait, it can be a fraction. So 8 over 3, so then I want to check it and look and make sure that it's positive. If I do this, this is going to end up giving me 4 times 8 is 32 minus 11. So I know that's good, and over here everything's positive, so I'm good. So I'm just doing a quick like check to see that it is. You don't necessarily need to write it out like I did in the first one. Just do a quick check to make sure that it makes sense. If it doesn't, then show why it doesn't, if that makes sense.
So if it works, we don't have to write that we checked it.
Yeah. It's just if you get an answer and it doesn't work, then we need to know that it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, show why it doesn't in case you did something wrong, then I can see, like, don't just write doesn't work or no solution or extraneous or whatever. 30, log base 6 of 3x minus 10 equals log base 6 of 14 minus 5x. So again, because things are being subtracted, I'm definitely going to want to look at these and make sure that they work. Now, x can be negative. Okay? Like, whatever x is equal to can be negative. We just can't have a negative inside the log for our final thing. So if it doesn't work, that's when we care. So 3x minus 10 equals 14 minus 5x. So I've got 8x equals 24. So x equals 3.
It did.
So 3 times 3 minus 10, 14 minus 5 times 3. So this is -1 equals -1, but I can't have a negative in a log, so this is extraneous.
Is there any answer?
Huh?
Is there an answer that works?
No.
So then that's a false statement.
Right, there's no solution because this is extraneous. But you won't know that until you do the math.
That's weird. No.
So that means that this answer is extraneous and thus there's no solution to this problem. Because the only solution was -1 for x, and if I do that, was 3, but when I plug it in, they equal -1, so it doesn't work. One more thing in this stuff. We've got 32 log base 4 of x is equal to -1. So I'm solving for x now. So we make the e. So 4 to the -1 is equal to x, meaning 1/4 equals x. And again, we've still got to make sure that they're not extraneous because typically these end up just being like an x or something. Usually it's pretty quick to see, but that one works.
Like how wet it is.
34. 1/3 times log base 5 of 12x equals 2. So I need the log by itself just like I needed what was being raised to the power by itself before I could solve it. So I need to multiply by 3. So log base 5 of 12x equals 6. Now we can use the exponential. So 5 to the 6 equals 12x. At this point I would divide by 12, and you need to type that in because I don't know what 5 to the 6 is. Ryan, you got it?
Yeah.
No, like on the calculator. Can you multiply that?
15,625, which is actually 1,302.083 equals x.
I hope he's right.
I have no earthly idea what he said. I think this was it.
1,302.083.
1,000.
302.
Point zero. No, 083.
Hey.
Either of those would be fine as the fraction or the decimal. All right, here's where the stuff from yesterday comes into play. 38.
I thought that was yesterday's work.
Log base 4 of -x plus log base 4 of x plus 10 equals 2.
I know how to do this one.
The log of the product is equal to the sum of the logs and vice versa. So I have the sum of 2 logs. I can multiply what is inside of them. So that means log base 4 of, I'm going to multiply these two things, -x squared minus 10x equals 2. Again, because of this negative in here, going to be really important that I go back and check and see if it's extraneous or not. Make the e. So 4 squared equals negative x squared minus 10x. I would move this over. So 0 equals negative x squared minus, actually, I'm going to move everything to the right. I want things that are positive. X squared plus 10x plus 16 equals 0. What does that factor into?
8 and 2.
X plus 8. X plus 2. So that means x equals negative 8, x equals negative 2. So now, check it in. Both of them are negative, so that's not an issue here. Negative times negative is positive, so we're good there. Negative 8 plus 10 is positive 2, we're good there. Negative 2 plus 10 is positive 8, so we're good there. So both of these are solutions. So this log actually has 2 solutions. Obviously can't be both at the same time, but
That's weird how two different numbers can solve the same equation, but they're not the same number. How does that work?
because it's a squared function. You can have as many solutions as however many like powers you have. You can have up to that many. All right, last one really quickly before the bell rings. For Ellen, and that being said, today's Wednesday. Your quiz is not going to be Friday, probably Monday. For Ellen of negative x plus 3 equals 21.
Lynn? Oh, that's why grandma's name.
Subtract 3, so 4 ln of negative x equals 18. Divide by 4. The ln of negative x equals, that's gonna be 9 over 2. Now, what base is really on this? E. So when I do this, this is e raised to the 9 over 2 equals negative x. And so then we would do e to the 9 over 2, and then I'm going to move this negative over here. Now, they may or may not, no, they do give a decimal.
Negative 1.504.
Wait, that's
How about negative 90.02?
Huh?
Oh,
02?
What did I put in wrong in my calculator?
I don't know. But I plug a negative in here, it becomes positive, so I'm good. So this is my answer.
Oh, I didn't second it.
All right, problems are going to be, and like I said, you'll have some time tomorrow to work on these. 5, 7, 11, 15, 17, 21, 27, 29, 35, 41.